Alright, so continuing recasts from the Rochester Open. Like I said, I took a bye in round 3, and I've already put out the recast for rounds 1 and 2, so this is going to be round 4. At this point, I'm currently tied for second place with one other person at 2.5 out of 3. And I'm playing the top-seeded player, who is 2 out of 3, has the highest rating, but he actually lost an upset in the first round. So he was kind of clawing his way back, and that was Lyndon Marcus Lee, rated, looks like 2333. And I had white in this game, and I started with g3, and he continued with d5. We had actually, oops, I'm going to turn this off. There we go. Don't want to use the computer. We'd actually played just a few weeks back, and I had white actually in that game as well. And in both games, I got a very pleasant position against him and somehow managed to blow it, so that's a spoiler alert here. So quite unfortunate, but he's a very strong player. So anyway, he played d5 because apparently he likes to play the King's Indian Defense, and as we'll see in the g3 course that I release, you can't really play that against g3. I won't go through that whole game here. In fact, I will put up that recap as well at some point, but and I don't remember the exact move order. He might have actually started with g6 first or something. But essentially, we ended up with this type of position where he realized, oh, well, I'm not getting a King's Indian Defense, I'm in a Pierce Defense. And I got a very good position out of that game against him. So he was looking to not repeat that here. So he played d5, which is something he doesn't normally play. So I kind of felt like that was already a moral victory, though, where my opponent doesn't get to play what they want to play. It's part of why I played g3. So he played d5, knight f3 to stop e5, which would give black 2 pawns in the center. He continued with knight f6, bishop g2, g6, and then c4. This was an interesting move I decided for. It's something I've kind of looked at. I'm not sure if I'll include it in the final G3 course or not, but the idea is that, the bishop is kind of, it's committed to going this way, and I'm going to try and undermine the center right away. And if you take it, well, I have ways to try to get that pawn back, possibly even as quickly as just queen check and take if I want. If you push this pawn, it's not necessarily bad there, but it could of course get in the way of this bishop on this long diagonal. So yeah, there's some ideas behind this move. He did decide to push, so we're going to enter into kind of a reversed Benoni type position. I opted for b4 right away, because obviously in the Benoni, you're always trying to get that b pawn push in, and typically black doesn't achieve it, because white's going to stop it right away with a4. But here, we're able to get that in right away, and in fact, we're able to get it in right away because we don't have to defend it, because the c pawn has not already been played. There's no knight here, a5 hasn't been played. This pawn hasn't been pushed yet, so the bishop isn't covering it. Like, we're just taking advantage of the fact that we're white, we got to move first, and so let's go ahead and get that b pawn push in right away. He played a5 to try and undermine it, so I went ahead and continued with b5. And then he played c5. So here, I actually felt pretty good. I'm not sure what the objective evaluation is. It's probably only slightly better for white, but I felt very good positionally speaking, because I'm boxing out this knight. I'll probably be able to close up the queen side at some point. And then of course I'll just, I'm going to break in the center. After c5, I played e3 right away. I felt like this was a decent move. I mean, this is a move I want to play, and it's before black can play e5. If I wait on this move, black can respond with e5, which I wasn't sure that I wanted to allow. So I decided to play this immediately. He continued with bishop g7, so I went ahead and took. And then he played knight to e4. I thought this was a bad move. Maybe it's playable. It does try and exploit the long diagonal right away, but I feel like you know, he's playing black. He's moving a piece twice, so he's down kind of like a half tempo or whatever to begin with, because white starts the game, and then now he's spinning another tempo, moving the same piece. I don't really have to defend this pawn because I was, you know, like I was expecting him to take that pawn back. I'm up a pawn temporarily, so I just continue with knight c3. So now, you know, I've got 3 minor pieces developed. He only has 2. After knight c3, he played bishop f5. So I just went ahead and castled. And then he went ahead and took the pawn. So c takes d4. I take, he takes. I feel like this was a favorable exchange for me. And I get to play d3 with tempo now. So I've traded off this knight that's not typically able to find a decent role. I mean, obviously c3 is normally like not available at all. And if it comes here, it's usually, you know, it might be able to hop to this square or help this knight hop to this square, but it's a little passive normally. Instead, I was able to quickly trade it off for his kingside knight. So I thought this was a great trade for me. I feel like white's definitely better here. He went back to f5. I played a4. I don't know if that was necessary, but I do like the move. It just kind of closes down the queen side. Also, maybe I can add a defender this way, or lift my rook and double up here. So I also was considering putting my bishop on a3, which, so like, let's say, obviously he can castle before he moves this e-pawn, but if he gets overzealous, I mean, I don't think he's crazy enough to play it right here, right away, but if he gets overzealous, you know, I might even be able to stop him from castling, so I thought that was a decent diagonal for my bishop. That was the main reason why I played this. After a4, he went ahead and castled immediately. It makes sense. I played rook e1, just trying to clamp down on this square. He played rook e8. And then I continued bishop to f4. So I didn't see any use going to a3 now. So instead, I felt like I'd go to f4, and I'm eyeing this square. And I was actually considering, even though this, you know, this knight hasn't moved, and honestly, I did actually do this. I was considering taking this knight off, because then black doesn't have any knights. Similar to the last game against Matt, you know, there's a lot of pawns on the board here, right? There's still, what, 14 pawns on the board? So the knights are potentially better than the bishops, and he won't have any knights, and I'll still have one. So I thought, okay, this develops a piece, helps prevent e5, at least for the time being, and if he doesn't move his knight right away, I might even just take this knight, and then try and play, you know, against his bishops. Right, so bishop f4, he played f6. Now, f6, I felt like really encouraged me to do this, because, well, A, of course, he's going to play e5 and hit my bishop, but B, now he's really locking up the center. He's blocking this bishop even further, and I just felt like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take this. After the game, he agreed. He thought that was very good for me. So, you know, I'll take praise from a 2300 plus opponent. Alright, so bishop takes b8, rook a takes b8, or I guess just rook takes b8. And then I continue with knight h4. Reason being, I win tempo off this bishop, and I want to play f4, so that when he plays e5, which he's kind of committed to doing with f6, he's going to have a backward isolated pawn here. Well, kind of isolated, right, because this pawn can't defend it. There'd be no pawn in the f-file. It would trade a couple pawns off, making his bishop slightly better, but I think on the whole, getting f4 in is decent. Yeah, so he goes bishop to c8, and then f4. He played queen c7, just adding more support to the square. And then I played rook a2. I think that move was okay. I want to get this rook into the game. E5, f takes e5, f takes e5. And then I played bishop check, which I thought was a good move because I get this bishop to a nice active post, and he doesn't have a way to challenge this bishop except with a bishop, right? Because he doesn't have any knights. And this is his good bishop. So if he either moves his king over, which is not necessarily bad for him, but then I just have this very annoying bishop forever. And then of course I can bring my knight back to this square now that my bishop's not there. Potentially. Or he trades off his good bishop, which is what I was really hoping for. And then I'm going to play knight versus bad bishop. That was like my entire point here. So he does block with the bishop, and I do exchange. So after rook takes e6, I felt I was quite good here. I played queen g4 just because it develops the tempo. After queen g4, we played rook b to e8, which does of course make sense, and I played rook a to e2. So objectively, I feel like this is probably fairly even. Black has the bishop versus the knight, but it's not clear that that's necessarily a good thing for him. Both kings are fairly safe, and the queen side's completely locked up, and this pawn isn't going anywhere for the time being. So I felt like, if anything, white had chances, but certainly didn't feel like I was in any trouble here. He played queen c5, which I did anticipate, and this is probably the most annoying thing, is his queen being able to get in here somewhere. I played knight f3. My idea was obviously adding pressure, but to also possibly land this knight on the square. I could also come this way. After knight f3, he played bishop f6, just trying to keep my knight out. I played king g2. It was just a decent prophylactic move, like getting off of the dark squares. Yeah, I mean, helping protect the knights. It wasn't necessary, but I thought it was an alright move. We're just kind of shuffling right now, so... rook e to e7, or 6 to e7, I guess, is what I should say. I think that's what he played. Yeah, just getting his, pressure off of here, because... So, I do have a threat with this knight here, that if he moves his queen in, like I'm sure he would like to do, I can actually take, because... The pawn's pinned because I would have 3 pieces on his rook. So by moving his rook out of the way, that's no longer an issue because the rook would be covered by actually three pieces, even if his queen's here, and only attack twice after this. So he could safely take, and I just lose a piece, right? So moving the rook out of the way allows him to move his queen. Okay, so I played queen to e4. I wasn't sure about this. I felt like, a couple different times I felt like I should just go for this whole knight reroute. But I was a little annoyed about the queen coming in. So I thought, move the queen here. If he infiltrates, maybe I check. And then, I have... So for example, if I come here and let's say he moves his queen in, right? Can't use my arrows today. Then I can check, king steps over somewhere. And then suddenly I've got 4 pieces on this pawn and he only has 3, so I could trade and we could potentially have massive exchanges here, but I'm picking up a pawn. Even if he picks one up later, I'm probably picking up another pawn, and I'm probably better. It might be a draw in the queen endgame, but I was happy with that result, so I thought this was a decent move, but I don't know if the queen belongs here permanently. Anyway, after queen e4, he went ahead and moved his king up so that this doesn't come with check. It's still not necessarily bad. I could maybe just wait here, and if he brings his queen in, I come in here, and even if he takes, I could still take here. So I wonder if I should have just kind of found a waiting move. For example, maybe moving one of his pawns, maybe I'm putting my king here on h3 or something, because I'll probably have to make that move later in a queen endgame. I don't know. I'm not sure what the best move here is. It's probably just fairly even. Maybe moving my queen back out to reroute, or just even moving my knight. I don't know. I'm not sure. What I opted for, though, was rook to a1. And I actually offered a draw here, because I just felt like I didn't have enough to try and push for a win. I'm very happy with the draw. I didn't feel like he had any way to push for a win, so I offered a draw to see what he'd do. He thought for a while, he didn't take it, unfortunately for me, and he played rook f8. So I played rook b2, So now his queen can't get in. He played b6. And I thought about this trade, and maybe that's okay for me. I wasn't sure about allowing this kind of break-in, though. And then this, right? Because my rooks are on... Although, this rook would be up here, and then I can move that rook. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe queen c6 would have been a good way to go to try and liquidate things, because the only problem piece I feel is really this queen. But I didn't know if I wanted to allow him to try and open up this bishop. After b6, I continue with h4. So the reason I played this move was, what I decided was I wanted to just reroute my knight. And I didn't want to allow him to get this bishop move in, and then this bishop here, and this just be really annoying. And he actually agreed, he thought this was a good move, kind of fighting against, because he said he was planning on putting this bishop there. Once I moved my knight. So I thought that was a good move. He played h5, primarily just to stop any ideas of pushing my pawn further. And then I played knight d2. So I'm going to move my queen somewhere and then plant my knight here was kind of the idea. Rook e to f7. And then here's where I started to go crazy. And I don't know why I do this, because like this game is totally dead. Like there's not much going on, it's a draw. There's no excuse for me losing this game, but I find a way to. Because what I should do is just continue with the plan I had made with this move, and that's to move my queen away and park my knight here. And he even admitted after the game that if I had done that, which was what he was expecting, we're probably just going to shuffle pieces for a while, and then it's going to be a draw. And I don't know why I decided to like change plans, and I decided to play knight b3. I saw where the queen could come here, but I didn't think he had enough, and I thought I might even get discoveries with my queen at some point. So, knight b3 kind of losing the thread. I had a good plan, and suddenly I just threw it to the wind, and I also overestimated this, underestimated this. I saw them, but I don't know. So he plays queen b4, getting his queen in, which is a bit annoying, and I played queen e1, which I thought was good enough, but then he plays bishop e7, and I realized, okay, this has actually been annoying, because after I take, his bishop gets in, this knight doesn't have a good way back, right? So then I realized, oh, this is kind of annoying, and I wish I had just done this. Now, I can't move my knight back because it's pinned to the rook, and I suddenly just realized that I was giving black too much play. So I definitely felt like, I don't know if I'm lost yet or not, I'm probably not, but I definitely felt like this whole knight d3 idea is me just imploding. So I was very frustrated because I played so well the first two games, and here clearly had at least a draw. If I had just followed through on my idea of planning my knight here, and suddenly I let black into the game here. So I felt bad. I tried to buckle down from this point on, but unfortunately didn't go the way I wanted. And I think once you make some mistakes, it's hard to like be objective. I saw the idea of just putting my queen back in e4, and that's really what I should probably do. And he even said after the game that if I do that, it's still probably just a draw. And instead I got greedy and took this pawn, and maybe I can get away with it. But I don't know that this pawn is really that valuable to me, and it makes his bishop so much better. And this is ultimately, whether or not it's objectively okay or not, I don't know. But this is ultimately what cost me the game. Because after the check, he steps his king over. And I have to watch out for this move, and I just underestimated how good it was. Because I superficially thought that I could just bring my queen back somewhere and threaten to trade off for the two rooks if he brings his rook down. And I just completely underestimated what would happen afterwards. I truncated my analysis, and that's definitely what cost me the game. So king h7, and then rook a to a2. This is probably the move that actually lost the game, and that's what he told me as well. He felt like this is what actually lost the game. Because after bishop d6, queen here, which is what I played, he plays rook f3. And I realized, oh, I'm in some trouble here. Because, so I went ahead and took, I mean, what else can I do? But I realized he has queen e1. And, see, this is like me making a series of unfortunate moves, because even like this move, like my rook was covering e1, and he doesn't have this deadly move, and I invited it by moving my rook off the back rank. So I just found a series of bad moves here. So I was just very frustrated, because I had legitimately outplayed a 2300 plus opponent for the first half of the game, and then just got frustrated that I couldn't find any progress and that he wasn't accepting the draw from an inferior position, and then found ways to throw it away. So I justified his declining the draw offer when objectively he probably should have taken the draw offer, but he didn't because of the rating difference. Like if I had been 2300, he might accept that draw in that position. But I justified it for him by playing the way I did afterwards. So I'm definitely frustrated with my play here. At this point, I've got to be completely lost. There's just no way to defend. I'll breeze through the rest of the moves, but I played rook e2. I don't know what else to play. You know, I'm in trouble. Queen check. I think I went. My notation got messed up a little bit here, but I think I went here, and then queen e5 check, back to f3, queen f4 check. King g2, queen g3 check, king f1, queen f3 check. He's just not giving me any chances here, which kudos to him for that. King e1, queen h1 check, and here I definitely underestimated a move. I guess I should probably come back, but he's just, I mean, he's still completely winning no matter what. But I go king d2, and then he plays queen b1, and this is a move I missed, and I was like, oh. Because I was thinking here I had this knight move, you know, covering everything, but obviously he has this check, and unfortunately, you know, the pawn's there, so yeah, it's over. Queen b1, I could have easily resigned here. I went ahead and took. Obviously he takes on a2 with check, king e3, queen takes a4, so he's just up a bunch of material now. You know, knight e6, like maybe I get somehow some kind of lucky, like, you know, whatever, against this king. Queen a1, I play d4, queen c1 check, king d3, and queen d1 check. And, you know, this is just very frustrating, because I would love to check or maybe move this over and get some kind of checks against his king, but he's just never going to give me a chance. King back to e3, queen g1 check, king d2. Maybe I should have just gone back this way. And then he played king g8, so I finally get a move here. I guess because he didn't want to allow this with check. Maybe I should still move the knight, but I played d5. I should probably move the knight, but splitting here is because I'm lost. He played a4. I played king d3, just because I want to move the knight and not allow that. Oh yeah, that's right. That's why I didn't move the knight first, because he could take that with check, which is also why maybe I should have just gone there. So I kind of like wasted time doing this, but I was frustrated and lost anyway. A3, knight g5, and then of course he doesn't want to allow me to check. Not that it's really the end of the world for him, but I guess, you know, he doesn't want to allow any kind of counterplay. So he plays queen d1 check, which is understandable. King e3. And then finally, he played bishop c5 check, and, you know, of course I'm gonna, you know, lose the rook, so I just resigned here. So yeah, this was a frustrating game, because I did play so well early on. I am gonna now, I didn't do this in the last couple videos, maybe I should have, but I am gonna turn on the eval, not this far back, because it's obviously over, but back. Okay, well, so clearly here, or even here, yeah, so right here I'm going to turn on the eval, because I really feel like, yeah, I'm much better, maybe even winning. And that's what I felt like. I felt like I was much better to winning in this game. But even if I didn't see the clear path forward and I just wanted to get a draw, then I could probably just move my queen away somewhere. So he wants queen d5. It says queen c6 is also not bad, which is what I considered. Apparently queen d5 is very good, though. Interesting. But even if I do like a different move, well, of course I don't know where else I'm putting the queen. Alright, so this is the move I probably considered in the game. So not as good as d5, but you could move the queen away, but that's... seems like a hard move. I feel like he would probably take. It says e7. I was kind of expecting like, this move. But I guess 94 is just winning then. Yeah, I guess it's kind of hard for him in some of these positions. But okay, even if he... best move is queen e7, which he might find that. I guess I can't really I guess I can't get away with taking this. Because he takes here. Right. And I might have seen that. But, and I guess knight f3 is better. Alright, but I guess what I'm trying to do here is say, what if I just park my knight? And if I park my knight, apparently this, in this particular position, is not best, because he can take. And then get his rook in, so it's not super clear. What if I leave my queen back, because I had also considered that? Like, for example, queen here. Still has this idea. And then rook here. But I can still park my knight here. Queen goes somewhere. It's not, yeah, some of these positions are not entirely clear. Like, maybe black still has some chances, so maybe I'm overestimating a little bit. But even he thought he was just going to shuffle pieces. He probably didn't see this whole sack idea. But for sure, I'm much better in these positions. Like right here, like the engine thinks I'm just winning. After bringing the rooks to the F file. Even here it thinks I'm winning. So yeah, I mean, a little bit frustrating. I guess I can kind of look at some of the top moves, just see what would Stockfish do here, just to get some ideas. Just kind of play through the top line for a little bit. This is not very different from what I did, other than it wanted me to put the rooks in the F file. Yeah, and I mean, I guess we have to maneuver for a while. I was a little curious what about... okay, so if I start moving the rooks in the F file and he comes in, it does not care. And, you know, I considered that as well. What if I just give up that pawn? And we talked about that after the game, if we just give up that pawn and don't care. H4 again. Yeah, and he's just completely lost if he goes for that. So I also maybe got a little passive, just trying to defend and take the draw. But I felt like I definitely could have won this game, certainly should have at least drawn, and I think that the eval and the computer and bears that out. And the same thing the last time I faced him a few weeks before this, so I feel like I've been playing really well. Obviously I beat 2 masters up to this point, outplayed for at least half the game, and the top-rated player at this entire event, and at the same time faced him a few weeks back. But unfortunately let him off the hook, and not just the draw, but ended up losing. Still not a bad start. I was 2 out of 3 against Masters in games played, and 2.5 out of 4 on the scoreboard due to the round 3 bye. But obviously, this game shows I still have some areas to improve. Had a nice, solid positional advantage in this game and the last time I faced them, which I'll show you that recap at some point, and found ways to blow it. So if I can tighten that up, obviously I don't know if I can maintain this level of performance every tournament, but that's, the previous tournament I blew 2 games against Masters, both of which I was better or winning, and had I, you can always kind of woulda, coulda, shoulda, but had I won those games, or at least got 1.5 out of 2, and drawn or won this game, I could be like 2100 already or higher, and had like some insane like 2500 performances. So yeah, I feel like I'm getting there. My knowledge and understanding is getting there, but obviously some execution and some areas of understanding that I'm lacking. So yeah, frustrating game, but still some silver linings, lights at the end of the tunnel. So after this game, there's one more round, round 5. I'll do that recap soon, and that game was in a way the opposite of this one. I was playing another Master, of course, and I definitely did not deserve that game. I didn't get a win, so it wasn't the exact opposite of this, but I got a draw that I didn't deserve. And of course there was no clear win in this game either, so I thought I should have drawn this game and I should have lost the last game. Of course I would have had a different opponent, but probably would have faced the top guy, the guy who won the tournament, so I still probably would have lost the last round. So overall, 3 out of 5 is what I finished on. We'll see the last game soon, and I do think that was a fair result, just kind of trading results from the last 2 games. So yeah, that concludes this video, and I will put out the next recap soon.